Welcome to a presentation for the Natural Phonics Primer Universal Safety Net for Literacy. This is Don Potter. I'm the author of the Natural Phonics Primer Universal Safety Net for Literacy, where we teach boys and girls to look at all the letters the right way with no guessing and become excellent readers through time fluency drills. And we're going to be looking at the phonics chart, or the charts that I use when I teach this program. So I'm going to make this as quick as I can, and yet as complete as we need it to be. We're going to, again, the Natural Phonics Primer. My website is www.naturalphonicsprimer.com. And you can get all the information you need on teaching this program. And what we seek to do is, it's called a universal safety net. So whatever program you're using, phonics program or whatever reading program, makes absolutely no difference. Whatever you're using, this is the supplement that you can use in your school to make sure that everybody in your school is going to be a good reader. So this is a safety net, and on my website you can get more information. Here we want to just focus on the charts that I'm going to use. There's actually 3 charts that we're going to be looking at here. The first one is just simply the alphabet, and I'm going to show you that, and you can get it off of my website. Now this is just an alphabet chart, and as a tutor working 40 hours a week for many years now, I notice that a lot of kids today, for some reason, they're coming to our classes, my tutoring, and do not know the letters out of the alphabet, that is the letter names. And not just know the letter names in the song to be able to recite them, but actually to be able to look at a letter and tell you the name of the letter. I believe that every student in kindergarten should learn the alphabet from A to Z, and by the end of the year they should be able to write the alphabet from A to Z rapidly. Now that's relative. 40 words a minute would be like super fast. If you get 20 words a minute with no mistakes would be good. And they should be able to write them without reference to an alphabet, without seeing the alphabet, just simply from memory. One reason I insist on this is because I believe the spelling is really the crucial element in teaching to read, a crucial skill. And so I don't separate reading from spelling. In fact, you might call my approach a spelling approach to reading. I make sure that the kids can read all of the words in the Natural Phonics Primer as we go through it. Now, there are some programs that recommend teaching reading without teaching the letter names. Now, I've heard people say, I have a 3rd grader coming to me, and I asked the mother, I said, your son doesn't even know the letter names. He can't read anything. You don't know the letter names. She said, well, she was told not to teach him the letter names because it would confuse him. And I kid you not, that's exactly. But he's in 3rd grade and still don't know the letters. And so I told her, I said, we got to get after that. Because if I say the word black, how are you going to spell it? B-L-A-C. How do you know it's a C-K at the end? You don't, because you just got a K. So the only real way to teach spelling is with letter names, and that is speaking it and being able to write it, and not necessarily just from memory, but by accessing the correspondences that exist between the sounds and the letters that represent the sound. So what we do here, we have the kids sing the song A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. Notice I put them by colors, kind of color-coded it, and you have the New Times Romans, which is what they'll be reading mostly in their books. Then you have the Zehner Blosser. I chose this one. I like their style of printing. And then I have the Abeka Cursive, which I taught for years, and the Zehner Blosser cursive, and I often teach Zehner Blosser now, but I'll actually revert back to some of the forms like the W in the Abeka cursive. So I have this chart I give my students. And the second thing that I have for teaching the alphabet is 3 decks of alphabet cards. One deck has upper and lower case on the same side. And for the G and the A, I also have the alternate form of the lowercase there. And then so that deck, I put a clip on it, and that it is never taught out of order. So you go right straight through A, B, C, D, so on. Then the second deck is the uppercase, and the third deck is the lowercase letters. And we play games with those, and they can identify the letters, and we play like Go Fish, I think you call it, where you lay them down, you say the word, they have to find it and hand it to you. So in a fun game sort of way, I make sure that all the kids in pre-K and kinder know the alphabet inside and out. That's the first thing. That's the first chart. Now the other 2 charts, and again, we're going to have to go fast here. I recommend you get where's that here? Actually get the book that's got all the information that goes with the phonovisual charts. And I'm tempted to read it, but it would take too long. But their explanation in here is excellent, and I'm basing what I'm saying off of that. With these 2 charts, there's a lot of talk today about decodable text. I'm going to be real frank with you. Most of my career, even when I taught phonics, I did not use a lot of decodable text. I used regular basal readers and that were in my classes. And I actually like the Alice and Jerry series from the 1937 and the 1957 revision are still available because they have a vocabulary control for the students that need it and frequency control. But nevertheless, by using these charts, I can turn almost any text into a decodable text. Just pick up almost any reader that you have, or the Hobbit or whatever, and turn it into a decodable text by referring to these charts. If you teach these charts first, and then when they're reading, when they come to a word they don't know, you refer to the chart. And so you can teach rather than have a sequence. Now, my natural phonics primer, I use a sequence, okay? Short vowels, ending double consonants, consonant digraphs, beginning, ending consonants, and then we go on to long vowels, or a vowel sound spelled with 2 letters and so on, silent E and all that. And so, yes, I do follow a sequence in that particular program. But when it comes to just sitting down and reading a book, so I give these charts to all my students. The first time they come, they get these charts. And again, you can buy them. You can buy the charts from their website. Very, very inexpensive. You can get them in a package of, I think, 10 charts, and put them in a plastic and page protector and send it home with the kids. They take them to their classes. And so let's look at these charts, because I consider this the engine under the hood of every phonics program. I don't care what it is. It can be Saxon phonics or just any kind of phonics program. If you open the hood of all of them, you're going to get what you have on these 2 charts. Now, they were first published in 1942, I believe. And some speech teachers actually taught these charts, and they found out that their speech students started reading, so they got the idea they could use them with all the students. And if a student comes to me that has a speech problem, I actually can help address that. So the speech teachers love Don Potter because they know that their kids are going to get a double dose of phonics training. It's going to help them to be able to articulate better. Now let's look at these charts as quickly as we can. On the left-hand side, we have all the consonants. By the way, there are 44 English speech sounds, and all of them are on these 2 charts, except the ZH, which comes down here between just to the right of the SH, as in television. measure, pleasure, treasure. And it does not occur in very many words. And so since this was developed mostly for elementary students, although I use it with people, students right up through elementary, middle school, high school, and adult. Let's take a look at the charts. They have a linguistic organization to them that makes them very easy to learn and to remember and to use. The yellow column starts linguistically in the front of the mouth, and as you go down, and I'm going to avoid technical terms here, although I'm trained in linguistics and we could talk all day about that. You're going from the front of the mouth to and your students don't need to know all those technical details and things. They just need to know the correspondence so that when they see the letter, they can respond to the sound. And when they hear the sound, they can respond with the letter. It's going both ways. I should say that these charts basically are designed to go from the sound to the spelling, not the spelling to the sound. There's a big controversy on how that you should be teaching reading from the sounds or the letters, and this particular program would more or less side with those that believe that you should focus on the sounds first. And so going down the chart, we have on the left-hand side of the consonant chart, we have the yellow are what we call voiceless consonants. Voice means you don't use your voice box here when you're making a sound. The pink all the way down, these are voiced consonants. The green are nasal consonants, that's through your nose. And then the other ones are the ones that we need to finish out all the consonants, and those are actually related linguistically to the usually point of articulation to the one in front of it. Point of articulation is where your tongue or lips come together when you're making a speech sound, also called phoneme. Now, for little kids, we don't call these voiceless consonants, voice consonants, nasals. Rather, I call the first column quiet cousins. And the second column, that's the pink, I call the noisy cousins. And the green nasal, I call the singing cousins, because you can sing them. And then, Mary had a little M. And then the other ones, we'll discuss those as we go down the chart and see how that they relate to the ones in front. I'm looking the wrong way here. The ones in front. And so let's start out. I'm going to do them very quickly. And the kids learn this just like overnight, and they have a lot of fun with it. And by the way, when I test the students, I take a piece of paper and I write these letters, and I ask them to give me the sound. And if they know it, I give a check. And if they don't, I don't put a check. And so this actually, for my assessment, this actually gives me a good view of their knowledge of the phonemes and or the correspondences, I should say. And for the vowels, when I give a test, I'm mostly interested in the long and short vowels. I can begin my program if all they know is the short vowels. All right, here we go. Pig. And you'll watch my lips. I haven't mentioned, I always have a mirror on my desk. And I have the kids often look at the mirror when they're forming the sounds. That's a great help. When I studied field linguistics years ago, we were taught that the number one linguistic tool, was a simple mirror to use when we're learning to speak a foreign language. I used that to learn Spanish. And yes, I speak Spanish. I was a bilingual teacher for 15 years in secondary Spanish, 2 years, and then at a private school for, over 10 years I taught, about 10 years I taught Spanish to all grades. That was a lot of fun. Here we go. Pig. Notice you don't say puh. The word pig is not pig. Pig is not a word, it's pig. And if you don't get these sounds right, it's really going to cause a lot of problems when the kids are trying to sound out the words. The second one is WH of wheel, kind of disappearing from English, spoken English today, but we teach it here. It's not wh, but it's as in wheel, wheel. Then we have the F in fan. And again, they can watch and see your lip touching your teeth there. Notice the PH is called a secondary spelling. And later, they'll learn that the F, or the PH makes the F sound. And also in my natural phonics primer, we teach that the GH in some words, is in the word laugh, can make the F sound. Then we have 3, top, Notice we don't say t, it's not t. The word toad is not toad, it's just toad, it's t. Then we have the s, as in saw, s. Notice the C right there, and the C makes the S sound with the E-I or Y. It's important to teach that. Notice this chart teaches, right so far we've actually taught two concepts that students need to know, and the sooner they know these concepts, the better. Number one, with the TH, we saw that 2 letters can make one sound, but now with the C, we see that 1 letter, that's the letter C, it can represent 2 sounds. So these are some aspects, complicated aspects of English that people need to know. Then we have the SH as in ship. Again, here we have 2 letters that make 1 sound. These are concepts that students need to know to be good readers. Then we have the K in key, k. And notice again here, we have these concepts. The sound k can be represented by a K or a C if it's followed by an O, an A, an O, or a U. And then we have the CK, which always follows a short vowel and signals that the vowel is short. It's actually an example of doubling the shortened vowel. Then we have the H as in horn. And notice it's and let me back up again. Let's see, we skipped cherry. Cherry, we have the CH, and here we see that 3 letters can make the 1 sound, cherry. Then we have key, k. Notice it's not k. Ketchup is not ketchup. It's ketchup, k, k. And then we have the H, of course, of horn. And again, that letter is silent in words such as honor and honest. Now, the next column, we have the voiced. We call these the noisy cousins. Again, the yellow or the quiet cousins. These are the noisy cousins. And so we have the B, as in bear. And it's very hard to say that sound without putting an on it. There'll be you can't. And again, when students are learning to decode words, sound out words, watch, they will often confuse on the sound side, okay, the B and the P. And then, so the B is B, very quick, B. And I don't claim to say it perfectly because it can't be said perfectly. These phonemes, frankly, are abstractions, don't even exist in the acoustic realm, but nevertheless are a psychological reality, obviously. Then we have wagon, and again, notice we have the voiceless WH and then the voiced w. So you can, as you go down and teach these, you can contrast them so that they're learning to hear the differences. It's called sound discrimination here, vowel discrimination, or in modern terms, they call it phonemic awareness. I prefer the term phonemic sensitivity, but whatever. Then we have the Valentine, v, and again, notice the f and the v are exactly the same, except that with the V, you turn on your vocal cords, and you can have your students put their hand under their neck, and they'll be able to feel that that the vocal cords are moving there. Then we have the TH in this, and we use this instead of a, I'm trying to think of some other examples, but anyway, there's not very many objects that you can put there, so we use the word this. Then we have duck, notice the T is t, and the D is exactly the same, except you turn on the you turn on the voice t, very quick. It's not t, it's just, or excuse me, it's not duh, it's just d. Make it as quickly as you can. Then we have zebra, z, and again we have the concept that one sound can be represented by two letters. Then we have, moving on down, we have jar, j, make it very quickly, not jar is not a word, but jar is a word. And again, we have the concept that the G, now in my natural phonics primer, we don't teach that till way late in the program or in the exercises. But when they're reading a story and they come up with a G that has the J sound, then you want to go ahead and teach that, and that's where the charts come in. And this is how you can turn any book into a decodable text, if you know the secret of this chart. Then we have goat, g, make it very quick, not g, but g. Now, speeding up here a little bit, we have monkey, this is a singing consonant, as in monkey. That's easy to do, and it's continuant. There's another name for that. Continuous. We used another one. I studied linguistics. Anyway, we have then we have nest. Notice the difference. Bilabial. Your lips come together, but in the and then we have as in swing, and then we put the NK here too, because it's in words like bank. Now we're going to go to the neighbors, and we just, and the QU, you have qua, and so you have the W and a K, and they put it right here with the W, qua. And tell your student you will always have the U with the Q, but the U actually doesn't have a sound of itself there. It's just qua. Moving down, we have the leaf, and there your tongue touches the roof of your mouth and the air comes out around the sides, and it's voice consonant. You could call it a noisy cousin. And I want to pause here to notice something very important. If you start on the left with the T, the D, the N, and the L, and you go across, and you say just a sound, watch what happens. T, D, Your tongue is touching the little ridge at the top behind your teeth. That's called the alveolar ridge. So these are called alveolar consonants. Now, kids will confuse these when they start out. It's to be expected. And you just gently correct them. By the way, I would like to say that I have eliminated the word no in my tutoring. Everything I do is positive from the time the kids come in to the time the kids come out. And so if they make a mistake, I'll just simply say, oh, hey, that's pretty close. Try that again. Oh, let's look at our chart. Or I'll say, look at all the letters the right way with no guessing. But I never say, no, that's wrong. Yeah, it's wrong, but they don't need constant bombardment with negatives. And I think this is one reason why all the kids love coming to tutoring. And so again, the word and may come out ant because of the D and the T. And the N And you'll see some crazy mistakes like that. And it just takes time for them to develop that, younger kids to develop that discrimination. But it also helps you to know how to, why they're making the mistake. And it happens with any of those, like the P, the B, and the M are easily confused with beginning readers. Under the L, we have the R, which is not R, but it's R. And you say rabbit, rabbit. If you say R, you got R-abbit. It's just not a word. And then we have the X. It's a superfluous letter, quite frankly, as is the C. And the QU, actually, it's a combination of a K and an S, but it's spelled separately, so that's box. Over on the vowel side, we're going to go very quickly. There's 18 of these. This is all the vowel sounds that we have in English. The top row we call the long vowels. Some people don't like the term long and short, but it helps us to explain how the letters are used, and so I see nothing wrong with it. I prefer that, and I understand. I've seen other vowel charts. Louisa Moats has one that's extremely famous right now, and perhaps linguistically a little more sophisticated. But nevertheless, I think I much prefer this chart, and that's why I have not switched to the newer, to some of the newer charts. And I'm going to show you how this works very quickly. We have A, E, I, O, and U across the top, long vowels, and A, E, I, short vowels below there. And notice that this chart is teaching all of these concepts. The Eebly program makes a big deal, and correctly so, about teaching these concepts right up front and start applying them in real text, okay? So we'll take a look at this. We have cake, and notice you have A-E. That dash stands for any consonant, and so I can put a T in there, and that gives me the word 8. I once had I've had 2 students come to me. Well, one in particular is 3rd grade, I believe. I wrote the word 8 on the board, and he said, Addie. I said, Addie? He said, yeah. I said, well, use it in a sentence. And he said, well, Addie's a pretty girl. I couldn't believe it. A 3rd grader made it all the way to 3rd grade. I taught 1st, 2nd grade, and none of my kids went to 3rd grade without knowing how to spell 8. So I'm pretty amazed when that happened. And it's happened numerous times, even older kids. But anyway, I'm not going to get on my bandwagon. I'm trying to give the solution here and not go into criticism of some of the insane things I've seen in the name of education. I lived during the whole language era, but I thank God I'm thankful for my principals that never made me follow that and allowed me to teach handwriting, cursive, and phonics in my classroom. Thank you, all of my principals. I love all of you. I had a wonderful experience working for the local school district here in Odessa, Texas. Anyway, we have cake, A, and notice the AY and the AI. Those are secondary spelling. So you have AY as in day and AI as in pain. And so notice again, right up front, we're teaching the students early in their career in reading, even before they've actually maybe started studying this stuff in their phonics program, whatever their adoption is. I'm viewing this as a supplement for every teacher to use. In other words, no matter what phonics program I teach, I use these charts with any phonics program. It makes no difference. There's no contradiction. There is no way that 2 good phonics programs can contradict each other because they're based on the same system. And so, but anyway, so the student is learning that one sound can be spelled 3 different ways, and it's going to trigger their brain to start looking for and learning those homonyms, which English is famous for. Then we have the E of tree, and notice we don't use E-E, although we do have words like here and Pete. We don't have very many words like that, so we just do EE. Then we have E with a line as at the end of a word like he and me, and then EA as in the word each. Then we have 5, I consonant E, and the Y as in by and my and Y, and then IGH as in light. And again, here we can see that 3 sounds can make one. You can view the GH as silent, but you can also see that 3 letters there make one sound. Very important concept for students, keep them from being confused. Then we have the O, O-E as in rose, and we have the OA as in boat, and OW as in window or bow. Now I want to notice if you go down this column, you see OW with a picture of a cow. So you can introduce very early on that OW, in other words, one spelling can map to 2 different sounds. And so the students have to be alert to that. And the way that works is when they're reading and they see an OW, they can try both sounds. That's not guessing. That's using a good strategy. So if you see say the word window and you say window, he looked out the window, they're automatically going to correct that to window. And so context does play a part in word identification. And so we can't just say it's all phonics and sounding out. There's way more to teaching reading. We teach this up front, and especially in the Alice and Jerry books, the AY and OA, like the word boat, is one of the is in the very second book. And yet I don't mind using these non-phonetic readers because I can make them phonetic by using these charts. And and I like to teach. Kids come to me for an hour, so I teach 1 hour of phonics with my natural phonics primer, and then I teach about a half an hour in the readers that I have, and that propels them into grade level reading very, very quickly, way faster than most programs. I have nothing against the Orton Gillingham programs, and have taught one of them, the Herman program, but to take 3 years to teach everything that's on this chart, just think it's going to delay the kids from actually being able to read well. So I see a downside there. And then we have the O as in the word go and no. Then UE, we have mule. And again, we got the line there stands for consonant. And then the EW, oo, as in few. Now we have the short vowels. And again, those 2 lines, when you look at an A with a line in front of it and after it, you know instantly, without a macron or breve. And I'm not against teaching macrons and breves. I've taught them. I know them inside and out. But I do not find them necessary in teaching beginning reading. And in my remedial program going through our natural phonics primer, I basically don't use them at all. And yet the kids end up becoming excellent readers. We're going to simplify this thing for the student and for the teacher or for the parent that's trying to teach their kids, not take them through some kind of complicated advanced linguistic program before they can start teaching kids how to get into books and start enjoying reading. Okay, Preston, I'll get off my bandwagon here. Then we have the This is a pretty hard one. I live in Texas, and nobody can tell the difference between a pen that you write with and a pin that you stick something in the wall. So the and the I are very complicated. I teach the kids to beat their chest when they do the E sound because it requires more energy, and then the I sound requires less energy. And the phonovisual list, notice I have a Y there, and that's in the word like baby. They think, and I understand it linguistically, they think that the word baby ends with a short E. For one thing, it's an unaccented syllable. You don't say baby, it's baby. And so linguistically, technically, I generally teach that as I would move that up over to the E column there, and I would teach baby as long E. Again, I don't think it makes the least bit of difference, but that's all right either way. And I'm not contradicting the phonovisual chart there. Okay, pressing on. Then we have the ah in top. Interestingly, it's not listed here, but A sometimes can have that ah sound. And then we have the of duck. And it's not listed here, but the schwa sound is basically a double short, or just a short U sound. So all the vowels in unaccented syllables can actually be reduced to this sound right here. Other than tell the students that the vowels can change to the I don't actually labor this. If they sound out a word with the appropriate short vowel sound, there, especially with the help of context, they're able to figure that out. Now I'm going to the other side. I could have gone down. Notice these all have an A in them, so that's part of the logic of the chart. We have the AW in aw, in saw, and again you have the AU and the ALL, both which make the aw sound. Then we have the R of car. Notice I put the R in parentheses to show that it's an R control vowel. Now going over to the column with all the O's in it, under the short O we have oo of oo of moon, and then the of book, and the short U there, like in the word put. By the way, the double O I would think would be extremely complicated, but the kids don't seem to have much problem with it, especially when they're reading words in a text. They'll quickly correct themselves, and once they've read a word a few times, then they will orthographically map that word, and it gets fixed into their memory so that when they see it instantly, and they don't have to sound it out. It becomes what the linguists call a sight word, or my friend J. Richard Gentry calls a brain word, as to distinguish it from the Dolch list words that people memorize. Then we have the ow of cow, and again you have two spellings. And I forgot to mention this. The AE, notice the AY and the AI. I generally tell them that you can't use an I at the end of a word. You can't use let me think, can I remember? You can't use a V, you can't use a U, you can't use an I, and you can't use a J at the end of English words. And the only exception is words like taxi, but they're foreign words. And so that's a pretty good rule. Same thing with the OW. You can't use a U by itself at the end of words. You have two spellings. Again, oi of boy. Here you have the OY and the OY, the oi of boy and toy, and then the OI of oil. And again, they're learning the concept that two spellings can map to the same sound based on meaning. And so meaning, this, and I should mention this, I don't teach any words without teaching the meaning. I'm not against using nonsense syllables, as they call them, to test kids' phonics knowledge, but I don't make use of those in my teaching. If a word don't have a meaning, it's not a word, okay? So let's just teach them to be doing good just to teach them the words that they know. And anyway, and expanding their vocabulary. Then we have OR as in fork. And in the Alice and Jerry program, like the word store is one of the first words in the book. They have no problem learning that right off the bat in the I think the second or third pre-primer. And then we have the last in leaf, we have the of fur, like a fur coat. And here you learn that four spellings could map to that single sound. And so you have to go to the meaning in order to distinguish the word. And that comes from a lot of readings. A lot of what kids learn is not something we teach expressly in the classroom, or we would never get anywhere. Okay? There's not enough hours in a day to teach a kid all the vocabulary they need to know. And so this magic called statistical learning kicks in. It's like human AI. Well, it's not artificial intelligence, but it's the ability to process a whole lot of information and induce the rules subconsciously and apply them at blazing speeds. Okay, well now, so we have seen the importance of learning the alphabet and how to do that. We've looked at the phonovisual charts, and I'm going to wish you well. I hope you will help me to tell people about the Natural Phonics Primer, the Universal Safety Net for Literacy, which I use every day in my tutoring and is largely the secret of my success. And I use it in conjunction with now if you use another phonics chart, okay, you can teach a Natural Phonics Primer without a chart, just telling them the letter sounds. But I think this is the best way to do it. And I would love to see these charts in every kindergarten and first grade classroom in America. It would make a big difference. So this is Don Potter signing off.